Hi, everyone. My name is Gabrielle, and I would like to welcome you again to another show we have here. And that's our live that we do every Wednesday. It's called Let's Talk Money with Friends. And we would like to welcome you again tonight to our live. And tonight we have two friends with us. And as you all know, actually, we have a returning friend and we have a new friend. And I'm going to give each one of them an opportunity to say hello and also to, say how they came about coming to this meeting tonight or to this event, to this live tonight. And so why don't I do this? I'll start with our new friend. Is that okay with you, Valeria? We'll start with
Sure.
our new friend.
Yeah.
So my new friend tonight is Angela. Angela, why don't you introduce yourself and let everybody know how you know me?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Pierre. I've known Gabrielle for years. Actually, how I met Gabrielle, one of my very close friends and old colleague, actually went to graduate school with Gabrielle, and she introduced me to Gabrielle. And since then, we've been friends. I think it's been. Would you say it's been 12 years, Gabrielle?
Oh my gosh,
10,
yes,
12
it's been
years?
that long. It's been,
Yes,
yes.
it's been a long time. Yeah. So that's how I know Gabrielle. She sent me an invite over a week ago, and I could not do it last Wednesday. So I told her this week. So thank you, Gabrielle, for the invitation. And I look forward to our
Thank you for
conversation
coming.
tonight. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming, Angela. When we met, we were like, we went to eat, right? We're always eating.
I
Karen,
think,
Karen,
well,
who's a
yes, we
mutual
eat a
friend.
lot. That's
Yeah,
how we socialize. But I think
I
you
know.
came over to the office the first time,
Oh,
no?
yes, to your office in Cambridge, right?
Yes.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
the first time I met you.
Yes,
Yes, thank you
exactly.
so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Valeria, why don't you say a little bit quickly, because I know you were one of our very first friends on very first show.
Yeah, I was, and it's good to be back again. Thank you for the invite. I always love to talk about positive things, and how you and I met. Obviously, was in finance and banking and mortgages, and we actually had some similar goals. After sometimes outside of the job, when you have an opportunity to talk with individuals, you get a chance to see what some of their goals are. Did they align with yours? And ours did. And so here we are today. We've known each other for quite a while. So thank you for inviting me on the show.
Definitely, yes. Positive women, women who are doing great things, and also women who like to discuss things. I know I've invited several friends to be here, and it's always a challenge when you've never done something before. And I wanted to share this story quickly because I invited one friend who wanted to be here, but she had to say no to me. And the reason I'm talking about this is because, tonight's topic is why is it important to be able to say no? The power of your no. Why is it important as a person, as a business person, as a woman, as a friend, as a sister, as a wife, as a husband? It doesn't matter who you are. Why is it important to be able to say no when you know the only answer that's best for you is no? So this one friend, I asked her, she was like, yeah, Gabrielle, I want to come here and be part of this. And unfortunately, because she got she got a little sick, she had to say no to me. And when she said no to me, I understood. And as a matter of fact, I empathized and I was like, it's okay that you have to say no because you are priority right now. Taking care of your health is priority, right? And then I picked up the phone, I called another friend and I asked her to be here and she said no. And I was like, okay, why this no? And I know it's okay to say no without an explanation, but I wanted to know. And she said to me, well, I'm saying no because I'm afraid. I don't feel comfortable being in front of camera. I said, well, this is not camera, this is Zoom. She's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm a shy person. And I know at that time with her, it was an encouragement. It wasn't encouragement or empathy to say, take care of yourself. It was more like an encouragement to come out of your shell, to come out of your timidity, to do something outside of the box and to encourage her. And so there are many times, we would say no. Is it because we are afraid of the unknown? We are afraid that we might lose a friendship? Are we saying no because we cannot say we don't know how to, or we're not saying no because we are the yes type of person. I'm always saying yes, so therefore, if I say no today, they're gonna hate me. They're gonna not like me. So tonight we wanted to discuss, when and how do you go about saying no, and why should you feel justified to say no? So my first question for our guests, for our friends here is, can you think of a time when you wanted to say no, but you ended up saying yes? And why? Why did you feel did you feel coerced, or why did you feel like you had to say yes when in your heart you wanted to say no? So we can start with our first guest, our newest guest tonight. And that's
So remember, I
Angela.
messaged you earlier and I said interesting topic, right?
Yes.
Because that's something I think I've been battling with for years. And that happened maybe 6 months ago with a family member. And it's always about finance or your time. It's one or the other. There's no two things that anyone asks me for, right? And I wanted to say no, but I knew that they were in a very bad situation that really not entirely their fault financially, but I wanted to say no because I also know their pattern. You know what I mean? But here they are in a really bad place, and I just I didn't have it in me to say no, especially when it's not like I didn't have it. You know what I mean? 6 months later, or 5 months ahead now, I look back in the conversation I've had with other family members who he played the same game with. It's like I should have said no, because he has used not just me, others who, really genuinely wanted to help him regardless of the past and what he had been through. This was a time for him to really, move forward, get a lot of family support, whether it was with time, advice, or even money. But, here he is. He lied to all of us. Myself, my sister, and another family member, and a few others, as I learned over that period of time. So, and like I said, I didn't say no because I felt like, well, you know what, this bad, horrible situation just happened to this person. How could I not help? I mean, because my heart was broken for him at the time, So I look back and I'm like, I should have said no.
Yeah, you should have said no. And sometimes, like in situation like this, I feel like, okay, maybe as a family, you all should have gotten together to decide on a strategic plan to help that person as a team versus individually, because once you feel like, oh, this person might be playing, and we from other countries, when sometimes you'll get the call, can you send me here, and that same person is calling multiple people asking for the same thing, and before you know it, they're receiving multiple stipends from multiple family members, when it would have been better for to protect yourself from a user. And that's how you would, it's an abuser and a user. In order to protect yourself from that person, you definitely should be a united front, organized together as a family and say, okay, this person is in need right now, and we all can see that they're in need. What can we do together as a collective to help that person, versus having them come in to you, and before you know it, they're making a killing off of everybody being sucker.
And today they need more money.
I know. They're always
found that out on Thanksgiving. Like, well, interesting, huh?
Yeah, so being able to say no can definitely, it's one way to protect yourself from abusers. So Valeria, can you share a time where you felt like you had to say yes when you really wanted to say no? And what did you learn from that?
I can't think of monetarily, when you presented this question, that didn't come directly to my mind, but what did come to my mind is that sometimes when someone's asking you of your time, your time is very valuable. And sometimes your time can be almost more valuable than money, because so many other things affect you when when your time is being exhausted. So, I can think of times when I've, been asked to do something or take care of something, knowing that you should say no only because you're stretched, right? But you say yes, rather than saying no. So I think that there is power behind the word no. you know.
Definitely.
Sometimes you have to give your own self that power of no, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people will begin to also respect your time, you know, and know that they don't want to stretch you beyond what you're, you know, capable of. You may be capable of it, but is it healthy for you? So
Exactly.
those are things that I thought about when you asked that question.
Yeah, it's definitely because do you have your own goals? We were talking about it earlier before we went live. Many times, many of these folks who are coming and imposing, they don't ask you. They don't take the time to say, Gabrielle, what are your goals? What do you want to do? All they want is what they want, right?
Yeah.
They know what they need. They know what they want from you, and it doesn't matter. They're gonna come and impose, and it is up to you to say no because you have your own goals and you have to keep your own goal. You have to keep your own goals in mind. If you don't do that, nobody else is gonna do it. So for me, I was always the go-to person. And some people will say that's not you, but it is the fact that if I look back, going back 12 years, I was the one, person needed to have their children, Gabrielle, can you take care of these kids because they need you now? Gabrielle, can you take care of me because I'm sick and I need you now? Gabrielle, can you take care of this because I have, I have a need, I have this, I have that. And I was always the type of person because, again, last week we talked about, paying it forward. You and I, Valeria, are very much like that. We want to give back because, and you too in July, but, Valeria, we talk about it all the time. We're always looking for ways to give back. We're always looking for ways to be helpful, right? And because we are always looking for ways to be helpful, you have people who see that. They'll see that in you and they will try and come in and suck the life out of you. And, it was always for the last 12 years, it was like, Gabrielle, every single year I can think of, I was doing something for somebody. I was putting aside my own goals. Things that I wanted for my life, I put them aside so I could prioritize other people. And many times they didn't know I was doing that. Sometimes you doing all that, you don't let people know. You're just doing it out of the goodness of your heart, putting your own life in the back burner to prioritize other people. And, I got to the point where last year someone called and said, Gabrielle, I need you to take care of this for me, or I need you to do X, Y, and Z for me. And I remember I didn't know how to say no because I had actually given a quick yes. As soon as the person, picked up the phone and said, I need you to help me with this, I immediately said yes because that was my nature. Just like you, Angela, I saw that there was a need and have the mean. I can help that person. I can help that person get to the point, that goal that they have. I can help them achieve it. But and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, wait a second. Again, Gabrielle, you put in yourself second so that you can put somebody else's first. And I remember in order for me to gain the courage and the power, like you said, Valeria, the power of that no, I went to a friend. I went to a friend a friend I trust, a friend who's been there for me, and a friend who's familiar with the last several years, what I had gone through. And I said to him, listen, this was asked of me. I know if you look at it from the outside, I am able to do it, but should I do it? And you know what he said? He said, no, you shouldn't do it. And I was like, but I can do this, but I can do that. He said, no. And he said, Gabrielle, text that person back and say no. And don't even give an explanation. Just say, no, I cannot do this. That's it. And the reason is because for the first time, he was trying to help me to remember, you need to put yourself first. So why do we have to say no? We have to say no because sometimes you have to put yourself first. You have to put yourself first and not let people monopolize all your time, not let people take advantage of you, let people, take, and you not being able to take care of yourself. Now, have you ladies been able to set some boundaries Like, how have you been able to set boundaries to say no? When
Well, I
in the
failed
past,
mis-
like you were saying, in the past, you always said yes. Go ahead.
I failed miserably the last time. So obviously I haven't set the boundary other than, well, here's one thing I said in this
Mm-hmm.
family forum. I said,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Particularly around this person, because this is the person the past few years I feel like it's been pulling on me. I thought only, but I realized on others as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? If this person's ever in need of basic necessities,
Mm-hmm.
whether they pick up a prescription, whether they were hungry, the basic necessities, I don't
Mm-hmm.
even need anyone. I wouldn't even need anyone to ask me. You know what I mean? I would never let someone go without something very basic. But
Mm-hmm.
anything beyond that, I can no longer be of assistance. And I think I shocked a family member when I said that, but they've been abused more so since I pulled away. And they came back and told me the same exact thing. You know what? I would never let anything, I would never let him be out on the streets. I would never let him go hungry. I would never want him to be sick. I wouldn't provide more than just very basic anything for him or anyone else based on this experience. So that's a boundary that I set for myself around this person. So this is really the person that
Yeah.
past few years have been pulling on me. And so that's a boundary that I set a couple months ago, and I had to reiterate it again last week in a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So check in with me in a year, see where I am on that.
I know I will, but we've been talking about it about mostly interpersonal relationships. What about those work life balance, situation where you at work? We used to work together, Valeria, and I remember those years where managers used to come. I was young and stupid. They would come, Gabrielle, can you work these extra hours? Gabrielle, can you do that? And we both had to do that. I mean, how have you been able to set boundaries with your job, with your employers, when it comes to being able to say no when you do have to go home to take care of your family, or no because you're tired, you have other plans, no because I'm tired of doing all the projects, somebody else has to pick up the slack here. So how have you been able to do that, Valeria?
Well, I'll address that. Then I kind of want to go back to something else you were talking about. I think it also, rather than looking at the career that you want to or you think you should be in, you have to look at life balance. Like, if I choose this, then what? And I think that I have purposely chosen things that does not really compete with my life balance, if that makes sense. I think that I've chosen, some people feel like they need to have that top-notch job, in the corner office and, six-figure salary and, I'm working around the clock. I have no time for myself. And yet I'm supposed to be quote unquote happy. But that, to me, that's my time is very much, the older I've gotten, my time is even more important to me. So I purposely have chosen avenues that allows me to, be there for my family, allows me to be there for me. And I think that's really important because then you're not stretched to ask to do things outside of the perimeter. Now, you will always come up against something where someone's asking you to do a little bit more. I'm not saying that because sometimes some things require that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's consistent, then it becomes like a virus. And I personally I'm not in that space in my life. I will say that, going back to what you were saying, and you both had a situation like talking about financially, since we're talking money as well, is that I went to a seminar some time ago. I think it was like 2 years ago. And I remember the seminar I went to in Chicago, and they were talking about, this gentleman said, what is your zero? What is your zero? Okay. And
Meaning of them, right?
until you determine what your zero is, you will always be asked to do more. Now, you can say monetarily, you can look at a zero, or you can look at financial time frame. But if you say you have $1,000 extra in the bank this month, okay, and that $1,000 is designated as your savings. Now, you paid all your bills, you have no other additional things you have to do. Everyone's taken care of, that, important people in your life that mean a lot to you. And then someone approaches you. Now your level, your zero was $1,000, right? That's your zero. And they asked you for, I don't know, $500, right? You don't have it.
You don't have
Because
it.
remember, with your zero was 1,000. You said you were not going to do anything outside of that perimeter of $1,000. That $1,000 was set aside for you. You paid yourself, right? You paid yourself that $1,000. Now, if you had 1,200, maybe you can afford to give them a little bit of, right? But you have to determine what your level of zero is. You see, so it's not about being selfish, because if you have extra, then you give extra, because you give, something will always come back to you. So I'm not talking about that, because what I'm talking about is that you have to determine, even with your time, what is my zero?
Yeah, it's like having that budget. I used to say all the time, like when you have a budget, you tell your money what to do.
Right.
Without a budget, your money will tell you what to do. And by that, I meant like you go to the mall and you see something because you didn't have a budget. You buying, 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 buying. You go online, you buying, 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 or someone calls and say, "Can you please send me $100 or $1,000?" And you had that zero of $1,000 where that was your savings, right? And all of a sudden you find yourself taking it because you didn't have boundaries. You didn't set up boundaries to know, no, I don't have it right now because what I have is for me. And it's okay to be selfish. I know being selfish is seen as something negative, but if you don't take care of yourself, even the Bible says, love others as yourself. You have to first love yourself so that you can love other people. And for me, I learned to set boundaries when I was in corporate America, working at the job and constantly being asked to stay behind. I remember I had a regional manager. Was he regional? He was, my manager at the time. And I remember, because I was, again, when you don't have quote unquote children, family, they're expecting you to do everything, right? To always be available. And I remember him saying to me, "Gabrielle, do you have a dog? Do you have a cat? Do you have anything at your house? Maybe the television." Every time you've been asked to stay behind, to do extra hours, say you need to call somebody to get permission. And the reason, and he said to me, "You see how many times I have to call my wife for permission? It's because that's one of the ways that I protect myself from being overworked. Because like you, Valeria, this person had already said in his heart, this is how much I need for my family. Anything more is extra, and I don't need to compete with, next door neighbors. I don't need to have that extra." And he said to me that what I've been doing is every time they're asking me, to do something extra, let me check with my wife. And sometimes he said that I will call and say, "Wife, should I do this today?" Or sometimes he said I will call and pretending I'm talking to my wife, but I'm really not. But it's just like that was a way for him to protect himself. And I know for me, I have learned that, saying like, let me check with somebody else. And it protects you. And even having a friend that you trust, like in that situation that I just mentioned, I was about to make the biggest mistake of my life, because the truth is I needed this time. And I've enjoyed this time by myself. I've enjoyed the stuff where I don't have, the extra voices running around here. Just being able to have peace, being able to really do what I like, do what I enjoy. But because I'm so used to, I was so used to saying yes, 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 I didn't even see that for myself. So I think it's so important that we learn how to set boundaries at the job, with families, with friends, with everyone. So what advice would you give to someone who's watching now or in the future and saying like, I have a dilemma here. I'm going through a hard time because so many people are pulling for me. They're pulling at me, and I want to say yes, but I don't want to be not liked. We all saying yes, 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 because we don't want anybody to not like us, right? Especially again, women. We look for, the more yes you say, the more they like you. The more no you say, the more you like yourself, in a sense. So what would you say to someone who's struggling with no's because they're so used to saying yes? Angela.
Number one, I think I've learned this for myself. Don't respond right away. Give
Mm-hmm.
yourself time to do the pros and cons of this situation and how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's it, because I think you can't think clearly the second someone asks you to do anything. You just don't have, you can't. And also, one of the things I think I've suffered from a little bit from the past year is a little bit of anxiety. And
Mm-hmm.
I think part of the anxiety was, in my mind, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have time. I'm never going to get here. There's so much traffic. I just can't do it all. And I think I had to say to myself, you need to just say no, so that you're
Mm-hmm.
not, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because my heart was racing. I mean, it just kind of came on a year ago, and I don't know what it was. And I did do some reading, and it said maybe, giving yourself time. How do you do that? Getting up earlier and kind of just giving yourself time. So I started doing that, and that really helped. But when you're saying yes to everything and everyone, so now
Mm-hmm.
you've built all this anxiety, you're stressed, you can't commit to anything. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's not healthy for you in so many ways.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to even say no to your own parent. And that's tough too. But
Normal. Yeah.
you have to. I mean, my mom's home, retired. She's home all day. She has no idea about the traffic. I mean, we haven't had a lot of traffic in the past 8, 9 months, but she has
Yeah.
no clue when she asks me to do X, Y, and Z in a 2-hour time frame,
Mm-hmm.
because she's sitting at home. Like, what took you so long? Well,
Mm-hmm.
it only took me an hour to get here, even though I live 2.3 miles from you.
Mm-hmm.
So things
Yeah.
like that. You have to evaluate your time, and that's why you shouldn't respond right away.
Yeah. So wait and go and meditate on it. For those who pray, maybe they might want to pray on it. Like I think the folks say that all the time. Let me pray on it or meditate on it. Give it a couple hours. Give it a week. Don't rush, because rushing into making a decision can be detrimental to your health and to your finances, right? Would you say
Is that, what do they call that? Prayer of discernment? Prayer of, what is it called?
prayer of discernment? Yeah, being
Yeah.
discerning in your prayer, because when you go and meditate, you are able to see things a little clearer and be able, and even I think it was through my meditation, I was able to think, maybe I need to go ask for advice as somebody to help me with that decision. Because again, we are independent people. You have a lot of independent women and folks who are independent. They think that, I don't need to ask anybody. I can make the decision. Let me tell you, folks will see that. They'll see you are so independent. And then those abusers, those users, they will come and eat you up alive. They're cannibals. They look for you because they think you are independent and nobody else is looking out for you. Just like I was saying with the job, if you have no one else to call and say, can I stay those extra hours? Should I take on that other responsibility? Guess what? They think that you are the decision maker, so therefore they can take advantage of you that way. So what about you, Valeria? What advice would you give to someone who's
Yeah,
struggling right now, either with work or personal, relational, you name it?
I think I would echo exactly what you both are saying, that, you want to take the time to think about, what's going on
Mm-hmm.
around you. Sometimes you have to just be still and
Mm-hmm.
listen to your own rhythm, because literally, that if you say yes, what's going to happen, where you're going to be off kilt, this is going to happen. It's just like you could see just torpedoes just going, because, you're stretching yourself beyond what you can possibly do. So I would say definitely, take some time, think about it, pray on it. And, as a friend of mine said, you need to say, I really would like to, but I really can't. I
I
really
like
would
that.
like to.
Would
It's
like
a nice
to.
way of saying no. It really is. It's a nice way of saying no. And you think about sometimes, like on the flip side of when people say no, sometimes people say no and to like even something that could be beneficial for them.
Mm-hmm.
There could be an opportunity out there that's beneficial to them, but they say no for several reasons. A lot of times they say no because they don't have all the knowledge
Mm-hmm.
of
That's
where
true.
to take them. They may not also have the belief that they can
Mm-hmm.
do whatever it is, or
Correct.
they don't have the full understanding or ability to feel like they could be successful with something is the reason why they say no. So a
Correct.
lot of times, and of course, I'm not talking about ourselves individually, but maybe it could be sometimes that we say no to something because of those reasons. But no is very powerful if it's used in the right way, right set of circumstances. if it's used in a sense where, you know, you're gentle with your no, I
Mhm.
think there's still power with no.
Correct. And don't overthink it. Sometimes we're thinking, oh, maybe the person, you say no, like this person earlier. I don't know if I was saying this on camera or off camera. She is sick and she's trying to convince me, like, I really didn't want to say no, but I really cannot do it, Gabrielle. And I'm like, don't worry about it. You have the right to say no in this situation because you need to put yourself first. But again, like you were saying, that other person who's saying no because they're afraid, they don't want to challenge themselves, right? Someone is afraid to challenge themselves and they're like, oh, I don't want to do it. So as a friend, that's when you can encourage someone to get outside of the box, encourage them to do more than they think they can think of or imagine. So I think it's so important to learn from our mistakes because as we get older, we are learning how to say no because oh, I wish I had the confidence that I have today. Looking back 10, 15 years ago, where when I needed to say no, I should have said no, but I said yes, or I didn't even give an answer, just let it happen, right? So it's so important that every single day you exercise that a little bit. You say the power of no. You exercise it a little bit. Just say no and then hang up the phone. Don't give an explanation. Just say no. Move away from the situation. A coworker coming at you, asking you all the time to help with a project, or you are a student and you're always careful at being in class, like people like me were always in class and all of a sudden, every single day this classmate is calling you, Gabrielle, can I have your notes? Gabrielle, can I have this? Not that you want to be selfish, but you want to show that person too, listen, you have the responsibility to be in class to take your own notes. I'm not going to be the one taking notes for you all the time because again, abusers will find ways to abuse and it is up to you to protect yourself. Would you agree, Angela?
I would
Very
agree.
important.
I wanted to add another point, something you said earlier, how the abusers outside of the work environment, you set goals for yourself, but yet, they rob you of that goal. What I have found is that those same abusers and users, and everyone needs help in life. I mean, I'm a strong believer in that, but I also realize they don't always set goals as far as their time. I mean, they might have lofty goals,
Mhm.
but goals, I mean, I'm the type, I write things down. I review my goals, regardless of what it is, even a list of things to do, because I just can't remember anything on the top of my head anyways. So I'm a planner in every
Mhm.
sense of the word, right?
Right. Mhm.
But those who are, are not planners, they fall short in
Mhm.
different, aspects of their life. And in some cases, like I said, everyone needs help. There's always different, there's exceptions to the rule, right? So I think sometimes, it's a personality and you have to just learn to kind of pull yourself from that and say, you know what, I can't help this person, transition into whatever it is that they need to if they don't see it for themselves. So I think I've had to learn to really just sit and think to myself, well, what would cause these consistent things to keep coming up? And
Mhm.
I know someone more recently, and I remember she said, this is just my life. And I said to myself, but there's so many things you can do differently,
Correct.
so.
Correct. Yeah, it's just just my life because I have you as my go-to person that I can always come to take care of my life issues. So we can have empathy. We can have, we can do everything we can in our power to help somebody else. And that's why last week we talked about the importance of paying it forward and giving back to our community, giving back to friends and family who are in need. But at the same time too, it's so important as a person, and I've learned it, and I thank God I learned it not too late, because I feel like I have many more years to go, but I wish I had learned it earlier, to the power, yes, you can say yes, and yes, you can say no. It's okay to say no if you are being put in a situation where you feel like, no, I don't want to be part of that. I don't feel comfortable with this decision.
Yeah.
Or this is too much for me. Or this is gonna take me away, derail me. It's gonna take me away from my goals for this year. I've already written my goals for 2020, and I don't want to be derailed. There's nothing wrong with that, because like you said, you are the type of person, Angela, you have goals and you write them down. And if you notice, the ones who are coming at you all the time, they don't have the time to sit down with you and say, what are some of your goals? What would you like to do a year from now? They're not interested in that. They're just interested. They are interested in what's in it for them. And you have to protect yourself. So let's learn from our mistakes, ladies, right? We're encouraging everybody to learn from their mistakes and learn to say no. There's power in the no. Please learn how to say no. Learn how to say yes when you need to say yes, and no when you need to say no. Take advantage of opportunities, like my friend who's looking today, and so many others. Take advantage of opportunities, because you want to seize carpe diem. You want to seize the day, take advantage of opportunities that are presented to you. But at the same time too, when you see a situation that is too much for you to handle and you really don't have the bandwidth for it, whether it's emotional, spiritual, or physical, or financial, just say no, because there's power in your no. So we want to thank everyone for being here. You ladies, awesome. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you all next week with another great topic, right? We are going to have good topics and that we want to share with you. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Gabrielle.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, Valeria.